Never shall innocent blood be shed, yet the blood of the wicked shall flow like a river. The three shall spread their blackened wings and be the vengeful striking hammer of God. You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. All eyes to the front. You must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
It is your evil that will be sought by us.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down.
Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies.
Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace.
These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost.
There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain.
For if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it.
And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
How far are we going to take this, Star?
The question is not how far. The question is, do you possess the Constitution? The depth of faith to go as far as is needed?
guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So, have you guys figured out what's going on in the world yet?
How are we defining figure out here?
I don't know. To you. Oh, okay. Have you figured out what's going on with women or men and their relationships?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's all fucked. Oh crap.
Oh, okay.
Not 8 minutes yet.
Yep, but pretty much.
Well, there are certain divisions among men. We're going to talk about the men tonight. Divisions among men and their viewpoint of the world. So, what I want to do is try and put them into categories. It's a kind of a unique way of looking at things. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. It's just another way. So, you guys have any other opening comments?
Well,
Oh, apparently we're all pretty useless according to Trump.
oh no, don't get me started on that. No, Nick, it is too early in the stream for me to unleash that expletive-ridden rant.
It would take us off track, off topic. So, let's start out with men's experience. Okay, so we'll start out with this song. Most people have probably heard it. By Jerry Reed. She got the gold mine. I got the shaft. I would like to play the song, but we don't want to be flagged for that. So I'll just read it. Well, I guess it was back in '63 when eating my cooking got the better of me. So I asked this little girl I was going with to be my wife. Well, she said she would, so I said I do. But I'd have said I wouldn't if I'd have just knew how saying I do was going to screw up all of my life. Well, the first few years weren't all that bad. I'll never forget the good times we had, because I'm reminded every month when I send her the child support. Well, it wasn't too long till the lust all died, and I'll admit I wasn't too surprised the day I come home and found my suitcase sitting on the porch. Well, I tried to get in. She changed the locks. And I found this note taped on the mailbox that said, "Goodbye, Turkey. My attorney will be in touch." So I decided right then and there I was going to do what's right and give her fair share. But brother, I didn't know her share's going to be that much. She got the gold mine. She got the gold mine. I got the shaft. I got the shaft. They split her right down the middle and then give her the better half. Well, it all sounds sort of funny, but it hurts too much to laugh. She got the gold mine. I got the shaft. Now listen, you ain't heard nothing yet. Why, they give her the color television set. Then they give her the house, the kids, and both of the cars. See? Well, then they start talking about child support, alimony, and the cost of the court. Didn't take me long to figure out how far in the toilet I was. I'm telling you, they have made a mistake, because it adds up to more than this cowboy makes. Besides everything I ever had worth taking, they already took. Well, she's living like a queen on alimony. I'm working 2 shifts, eating bologna, asking myself, why didn't you just learn to cook? They give her the gold mine. She got the gold mine. They give me the shaft. I got the shaft. They said splitting it all down the middle, but she got the better half. Well, it all sounds mighty funny, but it hurts too much to laugh. She got the gold mine. I got the shaft. Well, she got the gold mine. She got the gold mine. I got the shaft. I got the shaft. Okay, so this was written back in 1982. Have things got any better, Nick?
No. No. That it's so hard and true. It's really not funny, right? Like the lyrics say. Oh man. Ooh.
Hey, these are great lyrics. It it describes things perfectly. So I think this describes the experience of men. Describes our father's experience, our uncles, my experience, and the young men in their 20s have seen it so damn much, so many times. Um, you can try and convince them all you want. Is it going to work? Tell them, oh, we have a wonderful religious woman here. Why don't you just wife her up?
Oh, it's a trap. It's a trap.
We need Admiral Akbar in the "It's a Trap" meme. Like we need that on I think like a stream deck thing for that one.
So, what we're going to talk about is there the 5 stages of grief. We're going to relate this to the women. And I say the women. Now, before we get into that, I want to do a little tutorial on putting the word the before a group. Okay, first of all, I'm going to ask you a question. Who bombed Pearl Harbor?
I see what you're doing here. The Japanese.
Japanese.
Oh,
Definite article.
Did every Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor? No.
No.
But it was a representative group. So when I say the women, when we talk about the women, do we mean every woman? No. But kind of in general, yeah. Oh, and then the other one, and I'm not going to go any further into this than just mention it. There's a group out there who hates and will just attack you if you put the word the in front of the group. Nick, do you know who that group is?
Oh, they're really prominent in the Bible.
So the same thing applies. The Jews. It doesn't mean all. Okay? So, okay, that has nothing to do with this stream. You put the in front of something, it's a generalization and it doesn't apply to everybody. So, we're talking about the women. So, based on that song and the sentiment, observations, and experience of men, I think men are in grief about the women. They've been disappointed and disillusioned with women. And there is a lot of blame directed towards the women. So, do you want to jump in or do you want to say something first?
Well, we could always just have some guy up here and say, well, your problem is not women. It's what is. Like we talked about last week. Your problem is not women. The problem is what happens when you leave women. Oh, that's like breakup, divorce. Oh, so that assumes a marriage. Oh, but you say marriage is good, but oh, except when there's divorce. Okay, but the problem is what's going on here, Steve? You're trying to get men to ignore what's in front of them, the obvious connection. A lot of guys go into marriage relationships and they get absolutely destroyed.
Okay.
So you're trying to
Fair
convince
enough.
men, as I would say, you're trying to convince men that there's this pile of shit. And man, it really doesn't smell as bad and taste as bad as you really think, guys. Go ahead and eat that shit sandwich.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. No, it really is that bad, guys.
Well, okay, we're trying to make sense of this. What we observe with women. You can't just observe it and accept it and go on. No, it's like if your mother, father, child, wife dies, it takes time to get through it. And if you get divorced, it takes time to get through that. And so, the social workers or grief counselors or whoever will bring up these 5 stages of grief. So let's talk about those in relationship to or in relation to how men view women and the nature of women. The first one is the denial stage, which is, well, you want to describe the denial stage, Nick?
Well, your notes say the initial stage where individuals may refuse to accept the reality of the loss. Oh, well, maybe not all women are like this, or she really might get back with me. She'll come to her senses. No,
Oh,
no, those weren't really text messages to another guy. No, the dead bedroom didn't really mean she was sleeping around. No, she couldn't have really done that to me, could she?
okay, that's a personal thing. Now, on a general basis, the Christian men are great believers in Nawalt.
Oh, not all women are like that. Okay.
Yes. Oh my God. We see women doing terrible, terrible things out there. No, those are not the good women. Don't go close to those. But find a good woman in church who loves Jesus and who has a faith and pray together with her. All you got to do is just ignore all those bad women and find the good one because Nawalt. So
I thought that's more like
they are
bargaining.
no,
No.
this is Nawalt because
Uh,
you're in the reason is they are in denial of the true nature of women.
okay.
They believe that just being a nice man is enough. Because if you go to church and pray and all this, then the church and society and God will enforce your marriage.
Yeah, so tell that to all the guys like Steve and I, and even Plutarch, and
Yeah.
especially the ones that get extremely screwed, right? Oh, and tell that to a lot of those guys where their wives get fat, they're reviling, and they haven't had sex in 1 month. A lot of times
Yeah.
years, but hey,
Are they praying hard
it's
enough?
their
Is
fault.
God
They're not
not
praying
doing
hard
his
enough.
job? Is God
They're
not
just not
doing his
praying
job
hard
to
enough.
keep the woman in line?
They're just not Jesusing hard enough, as their nagging wives would rain down upon them, say, "See, you just need to listen to what I say and pray harder and treat me better, like the princess and queen that I am."
Just serve
When you
me
go,
how I want, or just lead me how I want to be led.
so when you don't understand that this kind of thing is just the nature of women, and you go to the church for assistance or counseling or guidance or whatever that, what do the good churchmen say?
You're not loving her enough as Jesus loved the church. If you just loved her better, she would follow you.
So is this whole thing just denial of hierarchy, the nature of women, the need for male dominance? You're trying to, yeah, the man
Don't you
doesn't have the
know?
power.
Jesus would never, ever do anything like that to a woman. He's just so soft, meek, and mild, ever so gentle, right? Of course, this is bull crap. Yes, he is um, good. He's not harsh, but he's also just and holy.
Well, okay,
And he
Nick.
enforces his standards and holds his bride accountable, by the way.
Nick, how often do you hear Jesus at the temple, flipping over? I mean, we hear that story, but we never hear it in the context of Jesus could actually be quite I'll use the female term, quite a mean man when he felt it was necessary, or I felt is the wrong word, when he saw that it was necessary to be mean.
Oh, I mean, there's the book of Revelation. You see his warning to the churches, and some of that stuff would be considered mean.
Nick,
Oh,
how
what?
many Protestant churches will even touch Revelation?
Right. Well, the Old Testament, that was Jesus in the Old Testament too.
Well, wasn't there
You know,
a Sumerian woman that approached Jesus? And
yeah.
she's it's not fitting to give the scraps from the table to the dogs or something like that. What is that, Nick?
Yeah.
I can't pull it up here because I got my screen up, but you know what I mean.
Well, she's basically saying like, hey, even the dogs are able to eat the scraps from the, master's table or family table, whatever the exact verse was, because she wasn't Jewish, and the Gentiles were
Right.
viewed by, you know,
Well, that was not a pleasant exchange. He wasn't
no,
being nice there.
no, but it was fact.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, in this denial stage, okay, I'm gonna categorize a group of people who are in denial. It's the tradcons.
Okay, Steve. Yes, and it's the simps. Yes, and it's the vast majority of men. Most men are in denial. And here's the thing: if say, oh well, what about the men who aren't aware? Because like a few weeks ago, we were watching a clip where Michael Knowles basically said, well, or Jeremy Boring, or one of those Daily Wire guys said, well, I agree with the Red Pill about their descriptions of the problems, but that but is a denial, right? It's like, Well, they're right, but my mom used to say that if you apologize with a but in it, everything before the but doesn't count. Okay. If you have to put a but in the sentence, you're denying the first half of the sentence. Yeah. Not being, yeah, Andrew, exactly. Not being aware is a form of denial. It just is.
Mhm.
Because I have seen this in my own friend groups. There are men who will get divorced. They will heap ashes and fire on themselves about how horrible they were, get married, and then get divorced again. And then the same ritual, they heap ashes on themselves. Woe is me. I did this wrong and I did that wrong. And, we can say as red pill guys, well, they're just not aware of the truth of female nature. And that is absolutely true.
They're
But-
denying the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It's a willful denial of reality. I'm going to slightly modify what Andrew said there. It's a willful denial of reality. And it's in part because if you move past denial, that's where the abyss lives. The proverbial abyss. You look into the abyss and then it stares back at you. As long as I don't look into the abyss isn't there. And so these men, they're not consciously doing it, but they cannot look into that abyss. I hate to use this term, but they can't emotionally handle it to look into that abyss.
I'm not going to go that far to say that at that stage they realize that it is an abyss.
No. I don't think they do.
They have constructed their reality
to avoid
around certain beliefs. It's an ideology that women are a certain way.
I like
or
that.
that a lot of women are bad, but some women are good. So I cling to this. This is my reality. And if you take that reality away from them, they would just be flailing around like, what is reality? If I can't find a good woman, what reality is there? What goal in life is there? I have to believe in the unicorn because it gives meaning to my life.
Okay, Steve. Yeah, that's true of the Daily Wire types. The guys who say, those are the guys who are willing to, we'll get here. Those are the guys who are willing to admit there are problems. I actually think that some of these guys are more in the bargaining stage, and which we'll get to later.
Sure.
Because what I have seen looking at guys at the denial guys is, yes, they want to deny that all women really are like that, but they have constructed their reality such that anything that goes wrong is their fault. That is a constructed reality to avoid looking at the actual reality. That's more of a denial thing than sort of saying, well, because that's what I was saying. These are the guys who, when something goes wrong, they assume that it's them. And we can say, well, yeah, that's because they were told that it was them, and they have been. But their reality has been constructed such that that's all they know, right?
That's also the nature of men. To take responsibility for things. And if something needs to be fixed, okay, I'll take responsibility because then it's in my control and I can fix it.
Yes.
If you completely assign the responsibility to someone else, then you're powerless to change it. In this simple thought exercise here.
Well, I mean, you're powerless. If she's decided she's going to leave, you're powerless to stop her. And we've talked about that many times.
At that point, yes.
Right.
Men think in terms of direct action, not in terms of influence or manipulation.
Well,
Women think in terms of manipulation. So while things
Yes.
are kind of going good, you can actually influence a woman and kind of manipulate her into a good outcome. But it's not direct action. But men don't think that way. They don't want to do that. So I'll just believe that women are naturally good, or at least some women are. So, should we move on to the next one, the anger phase?
sure, we can.
Sure.
This happens after the shit hits the fan. When you get the frying pan upside the head. Like, okay, everything you believed and you worked for and you committed to this woman is just it didn't work. She left. She threw you under the bus. You went to court. There's no sense of reality there. Uh, everything you did is wrong. Okay, are you angry, Nick? Are you angry at that stage?
Sure. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be. You probably should be. There's a righteous anger. I think a lot of men should have a righteous anger.
I think a lot of men do. And because, like I did, now, how long this stage lasts is up to two factors, in my opinion. How much you knew about women going in. Even if you denied that that could be true, if you'd heard that truth somewhere, you're going to go, oh, wait a minute, I did hear this. And that's how the red pill gets a lot of guys into the community. We say things, a lot of men go, oh, that can't possibly be true. A few years later, they find out that it is. And then,
They're like, holy crap, you're right.
right. And then, so, I mean, we have a term for this, right? It's the red pill rage, right?
Yes, exactly. And what causes men to enter the red pill?
Typically the rage.
The rage. They always start at RP rage.
Right. Now, here's the other thing. The guys who get you can, particularly with denial, you can get stuck there. You can get so caught up in it that in the only way that your interpretation of the of the world around you is that you have to just deny even more. So we're talking about rage is kind of a filter. Like, believe it or not, you're a lucky man to make it to rage, to RP rage. Most won't. Sorry. That's just the way it is. Most men will never make it that far. And I suspect, Steve turned off his camera, but I suspect that what we're going to find with this as we go through these is that each stage acts as a filter for the next stage. I don't know, Nick, what do you think?
I don't know. I think a lot of guys go through kind of all of them all at once, but there might be like one more prominent at a time.
Well,
Kind of
yeah,
like,
yes. You don't necessarily experience these in order, and very frequently you'll bounce back and forth. Now, the bouncing back and forth is typically in the first four. We're not talking about acceptance, but that's kind of like you finally gotten to the place where you no longer need to bounce back between bounce among the four. But most men, in my experience, once they get to anger, they will try to go back to denial for a little bit, but then they'll see a girl doing something, and then they'll just go, oh, it'll like set them off, and then they're right back to the anger.
So in the, this is most easily understood in divorce. You're in denial pretty much your whole life while you marry her, while you are in the marriage and the marriage is intact, you're not getting sex, whatever. You're in denial about the nature of women.
Yep.
Then it blows up in your face. Now you're dealing with a divorce. You are just angry because there is no rational reason. You cannot reason. You cannot compromise.
Oh.
You cannot negotiate with these women. The courts will throw you under the bus. Nothing makes sense. You just get angry. So this is typically going to last 6 months. I'm plus or minus. I mean, I'm just throwing a number out here. But yeah, you're going to be angry for 6 months, maybe a year, because divorces take a long time. But okay, are you going to stay in this stage? Are you going to live your life that way forever? A lot of men say, well, okay, I can't stay angry forever. I got to move on.
Well, Steve,
okay.
The other problem with anger is that it is very energy intensive. It takes a lot to be angry. Think about all the time that guys in Red Pill Rage spend doom scrolling through RP content, right? Most guys, we have more interesting things to do with our lives than spend the rest of our days doom scrolling through Red Pill Rage bait content. And I think I talked about this before, but I said years ago that the cathartic moment of sort of the fresh and fit whatever podcast, where they bring women on and they clown on them, and then the men in the comments rage and they do these massive super chat donations. Yep. I said that was going to come to an end, and it largely has. This is not to say that individual men aren't still going to rage, but that sort of cultural cathartic Red Pill Rage moment has come and gone, because overall sustaining that level of anger is almost impossible for one human, let alone a group of them.
That's true. But here's the other thing about the anger stage. When you're trying to make sense of this, you move out of the anger. I mean, this happens like on a daily, weekly basis. Okay. I've been angry. Oh, I'm going to go into the bargaining stage. Let me just try and work it out. Maybe if I give in on this and that, we can reach some accommodation to make it not true. So how can I change the outcome? And that never works. You can't stay in bargaining because you never get a resolution, and then it blows up in your face, and so then you go back to the anger stage again. So I will fully admit that I bounced between anger and bargaining many times.
I think a lot of men do. And I think maybe we're getting a little too technical here, but it's kind of like a negotiation process, right? You're mad at the world that the world did this to you. And then you're like, okay, well, if I do this, right? And then that doesn't work. And, damn it, like, and then rah, 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 women really are, this too. I also think, Steve, that in the anger phase, there's a lot of discovering that happens, right? Men, they discover that the world really is like this, that all women really are like that. But then they think, oh, well, I'll just try this tactic over here because I saw it work. Oh, no, that didn't. Oh, and
Any money muscles game enough?
Yeah.
right. So, well, right. So they'll try some. Well, okay. We call that hypergamy insurance. Okay. So they're like, okay.
It's a type of bargaining.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Money muscles game is a type of bargaining where we say, okay, well, I now know that women are only attracted to XYZ, so I just need to do those things, and then she won't leave.
Or okay, men want access to sex. So a lot of men, okay, maybe they didn't go through denial. Maybe they're not in divorce, or maybe they were. They go through the anger stage and they accept limited acceptance that women really, you can't have what you wanted with women. So you're angry at that. So, okay, I'm going to go into the bargaining stage, the compromise stage. If I can't have one woman and children for a lifetime and sex with her, I'm just going to play the field. Have sex with, just have her for as long as she's with me. So that's a bargaining thing. I'm going to do well if I get money, muscles, and game, then I can get sex, and it's not exclusive sex. But you know what? That's not possible. So I guess I'll bargain and take what I can get.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, I think they get hung up here because the thing is, this does work better. It, particularly if that's your goal. Well, I really want sex. Okay. It does work better. I'm not going to deny that. And I mean, we've said many times that there's nothing wrong with money, muscles, or game. These are all good things. It's when men start to use them as bargaining chips in exchange for sex. I'll say it. Might be a bitter pill for the men to hear, but I'll say this. You are still making women primary over you. You are still subordinating yourself to women. Are you doing a better job of it than the men who are in denial? Well, yes. But women are still your mental point of origin.
Women are your god.
Right.
You're worshiping women.
Steve, that's actually basically this sort of bargaining is what sacrifices, and I am using that in the biblical, ram sacrificial way. What sacrifices do I need to make to my God to assuage my God's anger at me? Okay, I need to go to the gym, and I need to, up my income game, and I need to. Okay,
and obtain the favor from my God.
And yeah, exactly. What do I need to do to obtain the favor of my God? We actually watched the first season of the House of David show here recently. Holy crap, there's a lot wrong with that. But there's a number of times where because the Bible actually does talk about this, in the run up to David's fight with Goliath, where Samuel's not there, but then he shows up, and then he does the sacrifice, and then of course he defeats Goliath. Right? It's like, what do I need to do to assuage the anger of my God, to get the favor of my God back on my side?
So
that's bargaining. you have anything to say, Nick, or did I screw up on the Bible stuff?
You're not bargaining in the Bible. Maybe the show does it, but
No, okay. I would say that reading through the Bible, in sometimes the Israelites were bargaining. They were just thinking, oh well, we just need to make a sacrifice, because there are some of these where they would make the sacrifices and it wouldn't, and God wouldn't help them. If I'm remembering some of these stories right, because
yeah, he says,
right,
I don't need them. He's like, I don't need these sacrifices.
right.
Well, it's human nature to try and bargain. True
Right.
humility is
Yes.
so okay. Let's go back. Denial. That's most men. We've already said anger. Well, that's red pill rage. Bargaining. From a red pill perspective, we haven't said it, but I'm gonna say it. That's the pickup artists. The game bros. Just have more game.
You know who else I want to include in this, Steve? I want to include the Christ pill guys in this.
Okay,
yeah.
one of it.
Well, I think they're trying to do a similar thing, because like they'll admit, just like the Daily Wire bros, that women, yeah, they're tough creatures, right? Like, and so the Christ pill guys are like, well, you just need to. Their version of Money Muscle's game is, well, you just need to pray more with her. You just need to servant lead her better, right? Like, they have a set of hypergamy insurance prescriptions too. Money Muscle's game is just the secular version of just pray harder, just Jesus harder, just lead harder, the way she wants to be led. Like that. It's the same thing in a different in a Christian skin suit. It's, I would argue, not actually that Christian of a way to think about things, because it still has the same effect. You are still trying to appease your God, and your God is the woman, not God.
Yeah, I think so. So I think we've covered the majority of men. If I had to put a number on it, the majority, like let's say 60% of men are in denial.
Oh, I'd say it's
Maybe
closer to
more.
80. It's 80.
Okay,
I think
80.
90, but whatever.
Well,
Okay, yeah.
we got to leave room for the others. How many men are in anger? 2-3%, because that's a transitional.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Bargaining.
Are you talking about men in the red pill, or just
No, men
in
in
denial of the red pill?
Okay,
No, men in
we're including
general.
red pill men, and a lot of these who are
Okay.
moving through the stages are going to be the red pill men.
Yes.
Okay.
So, the bargaining stage, I would say we're in 8% who are trying to do this bargaining. The pickup artists, the Christ pill guys, just pray harder. Okay, there's not many who, I guess, who attain this stage, because it takes dedication to get there.
Well, you have to get past the anger stage and not go back to denial, right? Because many men will go through the anger and then go back in denial. We know that, which is why there's
Right.
so many there. Okay. And you can say, oh, well, anger's only 3%. Yeah, as Steve said, it's a transitional phase. It's not, most men don't spend their lives there. So at any given period of time, there's not that many who are there.
It's maybe even 1% are in anger at any given time, because it's transitional.
Bargaining, I think for a lot of men, it's good enough. Like, They don't.
Well, maybe bargaining is in a way is their acceptance. I don't know.
No, it's not
It could
acceptance.
be
It's
jumping
cope.
ahead.
It's
It-
coping.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a coping mechanism. Okay, Nick. Steve and I had a little conversation last night, and we gamed some of this out ahead of time. So sorry.
Yeah, we.
Steve needed
But
help
no,
with his
it's a good thought.
microphone. But yeah, so no, there is a difference between bargaining and acceptance, and it is. I hate to use this word because it gets overused, but it is nuanced. There are things about bargaining that can look like acceptance because in order to bargain, there has to be a baseline acceptance that something is wrong, right?
In the bargaining phase, you have accepted a portion of the truth,
Yes.
or maybe all of the truth. So you're trying to bargain to still get what you want in spite of knowing the truth.
Right. So
Well, not fully accepting all of the truth. Yeah, I know that, but I'm still going to try and get what I want.
right. There's a difference between knowing the truth and accepting it. And so I can, and frankly, a lot of the purple pill guys are also in the bargaining phase because what do you hear them say? Well, I know women are this way. You know, you'll hear a lot of but I know that there's women out there who, who aren't this way, the NAWALT thing. So if I can just bargain enough to find the woman that isn't this way, then I can go back to that blue pill mentality of peace, love, happiness, whatever bullshit that's going on over there, right? Bargaining is when you're trying to look for a way to keep what the state of things, the status quo ante, right? Bargaining is still trying to get back to the phase where you can deny reality around you. You get your comfortable little. Now in the bargaining phase, you might say, well, yes, it won't ever really go back to that, but if I can get close, I'll be okay, right?
Mm-hmm. But a lot of men don't have the fortitude or the belief in themselves that they can they can do the bargaining. So they go to depression. You know what? Oh, I'm not going to I'm not going to go to the gym, get muscles. I have a dead end job. I'm not going to have money. This whole game, I'm not going to learn that shit. I can't do that. I'm 5'3" and I'm fat and I'm at a dead end job. Oh, woe is me. I'm just going to give up on the whole thing because it's just never going to work.
Steve, who are you talking about here?
I don't know. I'm 6 foot, so it couldn't be me.
Well, the what you're talking about to me sounds very MGTOW.
Wow, really?
Now, I do want to say something about this. A lot of MGTOW guys don't spend, if they spend any time in bargaining, they don't spend very long. And this can be true of any of these first 4 stages. By the time, you can say, oh, well, this really isn't going to work for me. This bargain, like there is no deal that can be struck for me. So, oh man, my life is just horrible. I'm never going to be the 6 foot, Adonis that these women want. It's like, and you're right, you won't. And so, you have something to say there, Nick?
No, I just said, yeah, women really are that way.
Right. So the MGTOW guys, they have a
And
better
society's
time.
that fucked up. The
Yeah,
courts
well,
are stacked against you. So if
right.
you choose not to play, I mean, hey, that's your choice.
Well, it's kind of, I can't compete, so I won't compete. I'll just take my marbles and go home.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing about this. This isn't depression in the sense of we need to put you on Xanax, right? This is more of a why this isn't depression as in Xanax. This is depression as in Eeyore.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever good, so why? Nothing will ever be good, so why should I bother? And I find it interesting that a lot of guys in the acceptance, or sorry, in the bargaining phase, look at the guys in the depression stage and they go, "Haha, fool, more for me." Okay, but there's another group of people in the depression phase too. Whether or not they're willing to acknowledge that is a different question, but they are there. That is the group of men who have gone through all of the bargaining. They've had their fun running through the women, but they are still empty, for lack of a better word. And this is not depression as in Eeyore. This is depression as in Xanax. Because they figured out, okay, because there's this depression that happens when you realize that all the bargaining in the world is not going to make women into what you want them to be. Okay. Yeah, you can run through them. Yeah, you can pick them up. You can be a total pickup artist master. You can be a master pickup artist. Okay. But there's no, it's boring. Okay, I pick up a chick,
Well,
I fuck her, and then but that's all your life becomes.
I think men were created to want one good woman. Okay, I'm using that term one at a time, whatever. A very few select. Is it an absolute one? Well, I think it is, but maybe not. But I want to contrast that with the opposite. 100 women? Okay, you are a successful pickup artist. You 100, 200, 300 women that you've bedded. And you realize all of those were empty experiences. You don't know a woman. It leaves you feeling empty. It's just a physical, fleeting thing, and there's no bonding there. And at that stage, I think that's what you're talking about. Those guys who lived in the bargaining stage pretended they were having fun. After a while, they realized, damn, this sucks. I'm depressed now because it didn't bring me the happiness that I thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the popular 90s PUAs. I mean, the guys who got really good at it. Where are they now? I mean, they're still around. They're still mostly alive. Like they still exist. Are they pulling women? Yeah, occasionally. But they don't pull them at the same prodigious rates that they used to.
They're not teaching anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve.
They're not in the spotlight anymore. They moved on. Oh, was it because they got old? Probably somewhat. But that lifestyle takes a toll on you. And I think they realized that it was empty. So they went on to do something else. They probably are not in that PUA stage there for anymore. I don't know, men, certain men can stay in that stage for a long time, 10, 15, 20 years maybe. But it still does come to an end. I have no facts on that. It's just kind of an observational thing.
I don't know how much hard data research there is on this, but I do know that when I was reading about this, what you find is that there's a barbell shaped distribution to this. Most people, when we're dealing with the 5 stages of grief on anything, they either can never get out of denial, and then they'll pop up to anger or bargaining or depression, but then they go back to or they reach acceptance and then it just kind of stops, right? But you are never going to be in one of these middle 3 stages for the rest of your life. You don't have the energy to be angry. Eventually you run out of possible bargains to strike. I mean, there's only so many different possible ways you can bargain with women, and once you try them all, it's kind of like, well, now what? And with depression is kind of the opposite of anger. It's eventually either one of 2 things happens. Either you self-delete, or you wake up one day and you go, why do I care so much? And then you go on and you start doing other things with your life. I would say
So
that's
Can they do other things with their life?
the depression guys. Yeah,
No,
they actually.
I'm saying some guys get so fucked they really can't do anything else with their life. Like literally living out of their van,
okay, Nick.
literally living in a
out.
tent or in their van.
But
They have-
Nick, isn't
know,
that a form of acceptance?
It is.
Yeah, there
But
comes a point.
But are
Right,
they really moving forward? They're not.
Well, okay. How do we define
Come to
moving?
terms with the loss, but
Right.
can't
Well, but
really
that's
move forward.
that's what acceptance is, right? So just because they don't move forward and flower into a brand new human being full of vitality doesn't mean that they haven't accepted it. Acceptance doesn't mean that you automatically, I don't know, shake off the loss, right? It just means that you are no longer. Acceptance is what happens when you no longer do any of the other 4.
Well, I think you can stay in this, kind of stay in the depression stage, but maybe not. Okay, so we said MGTOW are in the depression stage. Men going their own way. So there are those that purposely are there to avoid women. And then there are people that kind of stay in that stage like, well, I'm going to avoid women, but I'm just going to go do something else and not think about it.
Yeah.
And I guess there's another group in the depression stage, which are the men who've been zeroed out, paying child support, barely making ends meet. But if they persevere, and it might take 17, 18 years,
Right.
then they can come out the other side. It sucks.
It's like your Roman 20 years of slavery.
But it's still not forever. Right. Hey, it is,
Yes.
Nick. It's like that.
Well, I think we confuse a very long time with forever because it kind of feels like that, particularly when you're in it. Is that what you're trying to say, Steve?
Exactly. Because I went through that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'm at the other side now.
And see, that's the thing. I think most men eventually get to the other side. Acceptance is the great hope for men, right? You're going to have to battle through all of these. Sometimes you're going to be there for a very long time because, sorry, Nick, hate to say it, but you have the kids, right? And that, well, I don't want to say you're fucked.
No, it's reality. No, it's the reality. I'm fucked.
Right. And so you're stuck.
That's reality.
You're stuck with this around your neck for the next, I don't know, in your case, what?
Yeah.
15 years or something?
Unless she dies, may God hear my prayer.
So you're kind of stuck in this depression stage.
So I can get my kids back. Yep.
I can't Can't say.
Well-
I can't conclude otherwise. You're kind of stuck in depression stage due to circumstances.
Well,
Lots
Nick has
are
lots
there.
of good people around him, so I'm not too worried about him on the extreme response
No.
to depression. But just so you guys know, we're. But
Hey, reality is I'm fucked.
well, the thing about the depression stage is easy to stay in for a long time when you have these repeated reminders of what's going on. And Steve, I think even your story kind of points to that. Is you reached acceptance after the constant reminders sort of went away.
Pretty much, yeah.
So Nick, there is a light at the end of the tunnel that is not a train, although you have many trains to get through before you get there.
You got a few trains to dodge in that tunnel before you get to the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times did I need to be dragged back to court, guys? Any estimations?
On average, it's twice a year because that's how often she's going to need more money.
But it does decrease over time.
Yeah. It has to. There's fewer kids to use as leverage over time.
And then the government does a good job to, the judges slam you hard enough for coming and asking for relief, and they fuck you over harder and say you can't come back. So then you can't come back. But the woman gets more money because cost of living adjustments are just applied. And then you go back to anger. This fucking sucks. And I can't do anything. You are helpless. And you really are.
No.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about acceptance. Plutarch and I talked about this a little bit last night. How many men get to the acceptance stage?
Nick, I'd like you to answer that because we've already talked about how many do you think get to the acceptance stage?
Well, out of all the red pill or of all men?
Define it however you want.
I don't know. Most guys usually either stuck in denial, bargaining, or bargaining goes either. That's a temporary thing, but yeah, I think most are still stuck in denial. I probably think maybe 10% end up in acceptance.
You think it's that high?
I haven't studied the stats. I don't know. It's flying out my ass.
Well, okay. Steve and I, we when we were talking about ourselves, this is an anecdotal poll.
Yeah.
But in order to do this, we hadn't had to define what does acceptance look like, and then
Right.
we observed who are the men in the red pill who meet this definition.
Men in general. I'm going to add one.
Okay, we only used men in the red pill when we were talking last night, but and we only used content creators because that's the information that we have access to.
Right.
Obviously,
Okay. Yeah.
The guys who have reached acceptance.
So, wait, you got to define it first. What is acceptance before we say who's there?
Okay, the definition that we used last night was you accept that all women are like that. And that if you want to be around them, if you want one, let's say, you're going to have to behave in certain ways that are not politically acceptable.
Countercultural.
Yes. But you're not going to, but the men who reach acceptance, they don't tend to, how do I put this? They don't tend to go to any sort of extremes. Steve, what was the question you asked last night?
Can't remember. I'll just ramble. Okay, so the men who are at this stage realize that, damn, women are, I don't really like their nature, but now I can accept it, kind of understand it.
Yes.
And I want a woman, but only if she's the right woman and I am in control.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need her. I will never need a woman. I want a woman, but I don't need her. She can come with me. There's no way I'm going to go with her. I will not bend to her will. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, okay, I can live with that.
Well, another thing I see amongst guys with acceptance is they'll always say something to the effect of, well, if she leaves, or, if she leaves or if she cheats or whatever, then she does. I kick her out. Like, they always have a plan for what to do with it, but they're not emotionally tied up in the plan. It's like, oh, you kick her out. You might go decide to get a new one. You might just, hey, some guys say, no, I'm just not going to, I'm just not going to for a while, or maybe I won't maintain a relationship, like a committed relationship. We're just friends with benefits, for lack of a better term, and that's what that's what I was kind of getting at with the whole countercultural thing, right? Is like the guys who reach acceptance tend to have some very weird looking relationships, because they are trying to work with the reality the way that it is, and they're coming up with different methods for dealing with that, right?
And most of the time, they have okay, so uncommon type relationships. Maybe not state marriage. But generally, these men are highly moral, highly principled. So, Nick, who fits into the acceptance category? Because Plutarch and I already discussed this. So we'll ask you to put some people in this category.
Dalrock.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Who else?
We came up with
Cappy might a bit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Probably Donovan. Donovan Sharp.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh.
Any other guys with gray beards?
Gray beards.
Steve is
Talking about yourself, Steve, and Plutarch.
No, I said other guys with gray beards.
Oh,
Elena got it.
About, George Bruno. Yeah. Okay.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say that I have. I would say that Steve has as well.
I mentioned Plutarch and me, and I think I'm at that stage, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I hope I am.
Well, so
I still want a woman. I don't need a woman, and I'm not willing to compromise to get one.
That sounds like acceptance.
I'm not compromising crap.
Well,
there's another guy who's not a red pill guy that I think might be at this stage. Kim Gordon.
I don't know.
He doesn't like the red pill, but he does understand the nature of women, and he does really believe in the patriarchy and the firm leadership role.
Yeah, but he is the OG Christ pill guy, though. So you would have to make
but he's not preaching acceptance. He's preaching something else.
Right, but you'd have to make an argument that because the Christ bill itself is a bargaining tool. So you'd have to make the argument that he's gone past bargaining to acceptance since he came up with the Christ bill 2 years ago. I don't see it that way. I don't think. I think he's still. I think he's still bargaining. In fact,
There's
I'm going to say
okay.
this. Don't
Go ahead.
don't hate too hard, but I think most Christians bargain. The depression is. I see a lot more of the depression side in
There,
outside of Christianity, but
okay, I'll go along with that. What factor? Well, Cappy doesn't have this, and maybe Doll Rock doesn't. But pretty much to get to the acceptance stage, you had to go through great suffering of a traumatic breakup, divorce, and be zeroed out, or have just a nasty experience, and then really be forced to go through this. And then it takes a few years to get to the acceptance stage.
yeah, has Tim Gordon ever gone through a nasty divorce or any divorce at all?
No, I don't think so. So maybe you can't get to our definition of acceptance without going through the brutal experience.
See,
because
that
you
that
think
tracks.
you achieved it by doing something in one of these previous stages.
Yes.
So you kind of understand the truth of women, but my method or my God's method of doing this, that's what worked.
Right. It's a false attribution. Well, actually, I
Right.
would say it's these guys think that, I mean, even the price pill guys think that, because I've seen them say this, if you get a divorce, that means that you are automatically a failure as a man, right? That you failed to be Christian enough. It gives them license to mock these men and belittle them. And that mocking and belittling, I think, demonstrates
You're like Job's useless friend.
Yes. And I think it demonstrates that these men are using this, well, but mine was strong enough as a crutch, right? I mean, we were talking about, we were on Donovan's show last night. We were talking about the Andrew Wilson CGA debate. And
Right. Both Plutarch and I made guest appearances.
yeah. But the interesting thing about that debate was you could very clearly tell that Andrew Wilson has never been through the brutality because he was making these just hysterical first grade technical errors in understanding something that anybody who's been through a divorce ever would go, haha, no, that's just wrong. And because he made those egregious technical errors, his chosen solution doesn't work because his solution relies on the technical errors that he made being correct. Okay. So this is what we see with the Christ pill guys. They think that their solution is going to work, and then they clown on the guys for whom their solution didn't work by making a no true Scotsman argument. Well, you just weren't enough. You were not a true Scotsman. Right. And then they have their automatic out, but they never have to really fully accept the true scope of female nature. They never actually they might see some of it, right? Like if you're a relatively intelligent man, you're probably going to go, you're going to see the divorces going on around you and go, wow, okay, yeah, there's some really nasty shit going on here, right? You'll see it. And so they have some some higher level understanding of what this looks like, but they've never been hit in the gut.
But then they think, thank God my woman's not like that. Thank
Exactly.
God we go to church and I pray and we are a church going family or blah, 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 or whatever you want to attribute that. I'm sure non-Christian people attribute it to other things, but
Yes.
they say, well, thank God I'm not like those sinners.
Right. But here's the thing. We actually talked about this at the very beginning. That's actually a denial, right? They are denying the nature of women. Okay.
True.
So you can't be Christ pill and be in the acceptance phase. In order to get to acceptance, you have to leave that behind, because and we've talked about this before, and I'll say it again. Every one of these bargaining tools their success relies on women having no agency, on a woman just waking up one day and saying, you know what, I don't like the situation I'm in anymore. I want to pull the ripcord. No matter how hard you Jesused and prayed, no matter how hard you moneyed and muscled, she can wake up and say, you know what? I got a DM from a guy last night. He's better. I'm out.
So I need to just clarify so you don't get misattributed. You can't be Christ-pilled and be in the acceptance stage, but you can be Christian and be in the acceptance stage.
Correct. Yes. And there's an interesting thing that we noticed when we were talking about the acceptance stage last night. The two guys that we were talking about that are married both have unusual marriages. Donovan Sharp
Those
is married.
two guys. Yeah, Donovan Sharp.
He's married, kind of.
And Plutarch.
I am married. It's a state marriage, but I imported it. I imported my marriage. I did not marry an American.
Yes.
And she has very different views on the world than the average American does. I would call that an unusual thing, because it's statistically unusual.
Okay, so let's talk about Donovan.
Yes, let's.
Not a state marriage, is it?
No. It's a non-religious marriage.
Right. But you know what? We spoke with Donovan on Elena's channel. I like Donovan. He has a high level of morality. He understands Christianity. He acts more Christian than a lot of Christian men. Now, I think he's a black man. The black Christian churches are just different. He just has no time for the kind of Christianity that he has experienced. And I can understand that. But he's a good man. So, that said, okay, so he entered into this marriage. He controls the marriage. I believe he put some things in place to keep his power level. He absolutely loves his wife, and he talks about her favorably. He chose her. He walked into this with his eyes open. But he maintains the power in the relationship, mainly over finances. And if she left, he's, mentally, he's ready for that. And she's not going to take him to the cleaners because he has the power. Now, with Plutarch, okay, it's a state marriage. Elena is a good woman. Plutarch loves her deeply. But he laid down some ground rules when they started. And I believe he put some financial things in place. And he controls the purse strings.
Yeah.
Like if she steps out, if she spends too much, that's it. No more credit cards this month.
Oh, she's been cut off before.
And she does get cut off. And so, okay, he's maintaining the power. So if you reach the acceptance stage, you can have a woman. But you got to maintain the power. Now, let me talk about another guy that I think is at this stage, George Bruno. Now, he's been podcasting for a number of years, and he has had women in his life during his podcasting days, and he talks favorably about them. It didn't work. They left. For whatever reason, they left. And yet he continues on. So he wants a woman, but he's not going to chase women. But if they want to go with him, join him on his adventure, he's open to that. So that's a person. I think that's a good example, because George is also a very moral man. Is he going to reach? Is he, upon scrutiny? I mean, he talks about. I think he was Catholic for a while. Now he's Orthodox. So he talks about all these things, and he's a very Christian man. By no means is he a perfect man, but he's a good man.
Yeah, and George has made some noises on YouTube lately about he's thinking about settling down. He thinks he might have found a decent one, but he's being very, circumspect about it. You can tell he's clearly taking his time doing the vetting. He's doing the work, setting up the boundaries and whatnot. And if she chooses to accept those and live under those, then it can work. And Steve, I think this is probably the hardest thing for men to accept, and I'm using that term advisedly, is that all of these other stages, all of these, anger, bargaining, depression, denial, they all prevent you from getting here. They are all in their own way dead ends. Like, we on this channel talk at length about how the church and the Christ bill and all that is just a load of hokum and bunk, because it is, and I think we've done a fantastic job of beating that horse into the ground. Okay, why? Because it's based on you haven't gotten there. You haven't gotten there yet. You haven't reached the finish line yet. So you look at guys like Donovan and George, and you go, oh, that's what it looks like. And Devin will probably stick around with Donovan for as long as he is willing to keep her around, because she's not stupid. And she's agreed to the terms. She knows what she agreed to. Now, could she also decide to leave? Of course she could. Because in acceptance, you have to be able to accept that women can do that. Okay? Everything else, Andrew Wilson's solution of social pressure, is a non-accepting solution. It also doesn't work in this day and age. And we've talked about all that before. Christ pill doesn't work because it denies the nature of female. It literally says not all women are like that, and all you need to do is be a better man to find the woman who's not like that. Well, no, they are all like that. And particularly things like the Christ pill, what happens is they prevent men from doing the things that are necessary to actually keep the covenantal relationship.
I think there's a conclusion that a man has to come to deep down in his heart, in his soul, that I need all the power. Why? Because I'm the only one that can be trusted with the power to define the relationship. Because I know that I am moral and I will be just, and I can trust myself with that power. It's not to lord it over somebody. It's just because I cannot trust. I've been through it. I've seen when you share the power with women or a woman, how, oh, bad, that's bad. When you share the power or put yourself under the authority of the government. And yes, even when you put yourself under the authority of the church, although technically you are, but the church leaders who are using that authority are not trustworthy and they won't use it effectively. Therefore, I can have a religious marriage, but maybe under the authority of the church, not explicitly. I can't count on the church to wield the authority over my marriage because they don't do it well.
Correct.
I can't trust the state to do it because that's a horrendously bad thing. I can't
Oh my
share the
God.
power with a woman because that's a disaster. Sorry, it's just I'm going to have to accept the fact that I have to have all the power myself.
And Steve, I have all the power in our relationship. I do. And I can hear the feminists screaming across the internet right now, but I do. And here's the thing, Donovan does too. When you look at the relationships that succeed in the long term, the men have all the power.
And the women who stay with those men love it.
Yes.
It's a safe place.
Well, yeah, sure, exactly. Egalitarianism is a total inversion and it's demonic. And this is why. Because everything else is some sort of, well, the man has to be subservient to, because the church will come in and say, and the church does say, well, you just need to lead her better. So what the church is telling men is that the woman has the correct idea of where to be led, and you just need to lead her there correctly. That's an inversion of power and demonic. There you go. Chief, oh boy. I just want to pull this up because this is the state of masculinity in the Christian circles.
That's the name of a book, by the way. Yeah, that's the name of a book by Zachary Garris. Yeah.
And maybe the book is okay. I don't know. I haven't read it.
It's actually a good book. It just it's not well received book.
I believe that. So the comment is, started masculine Christianity at men's group, and the white knight pastor pulled a butt men when focusing on women. Right. So you can have a good book that teaches you the truth, but the white knight pastor is going to go, but men do this, and it'll be something about porn or, or more likely even, cheating and then, so basically you hear the standard feminist narrative of men do porn, then they cheat, then they take all the money, right? It's like, and so the women need the power. The women need the power to stop their men from misbehaving. Okay, so as a pastor, you're saying that the men are below the woman. Well, no, that's not really what I meant, but she just needs the power so that she can stop you from you've heard all this before, I'm sure, Nick.
Yep. That's where it's like, nope. No.
Well, Nick.
The cure is worse than the disease.
Well, okay, Nick, okay. And I think we've talked about this before. Maybe it was offline, maybe it was online. I don't, during a stream, I don't remember. But I think we said something to the effect of, yeah, a man may screw up. It is up to the church and his God to hold him accountable to that, not the woman.
Right.
And if you're a woman and you choose a man who screws up, that's kind of on you as a woman. That's the accountability that women have, is their choice of men.
True enough. But you know what? Depending on what you mean by screw up. If you mean screw up, cheat. Okay, well, not all men do that. But
Most
if you
men
mean
don't.
screw up right. If you mean just make a mistake, lose a lot of money, lose his job, do something stupid, yeah, all men do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
All men screw
Yep.
up.
And we'll hear
But
about
then
it
it's the
all the
man's
rest of our
job,
life.
Yes, we will,
right?
Nick.
But it's the man's job to fix it. So if the woman just shuts up and trusts him to come through the other side, with her in along with him, it's gonna work out. Most men recover from their fuck ups and take responsibility. But women, their first thing is, oh, he screwed up. He's so bad. Now he's a failure. I'm out of here. That's so stupid because men, we all face our defeats and we come through the other side.
Well, Steve, I've been laid off twice in my career. No, twice. Yeah, and twice in my career, and both times were with Elena. Still married.
Yeah.
It wasn't the end of the world. She's fine. She's now, the interesting thing about that is she's now learned that I can get back up on my feet when things go wrong. That's an interesting lesson for a woman to learn, don't you think?
But the reason she stayed with you through those times is she did have trust that you would come through the other side. A lot
What
of
was
women
she?
don't have that level of trust in their man.
Yes. Was she worried? Was she nervous? Of course. That's normal. But the moment, for the women, the moment you get worried about a man, you decide you have to leave. Look, we're headed into an economic depression here over the next couple of years. If all these women out there are running around, going, oh no, my man lost his job, I got to go find another man, and boom, they're gone. All those women are going to be chasing a vastly reduced supply of men who could take care of them. All like the women don't think, and this is why they need men over them. Women don't think.
They feel.
Oh,
They
they feel
think.
quite a bit. Right, but they don't think. And so, they feel, oh, my guy lost his job. It's going to suck. And I don't want the hurt. I don't want to feel the suck, right? And so I need to leave so that I can go find another man who it won't suck with, right? And they do think like this. That is a female thought process. And that's something that those of us with acceptance, we go, yeah, that's just how they are. But
So,
go ahead.
So this chart that I put up now,
War brides are a thing, guys. That's all I'm saying.
it has a 5 stage.
the-
Yes, it is. It is kind of true. I mean, it's not a constant line. There is a process here. And if you notice the way they drew this acceptance, the acceptance dot is at a higher level than the denial dot.
I like it.
When a man goes through these stages and he comes out the other side, he's going to be at a higher level. What does that level represent? I don't know, just kind of at peace with the world. He'll understand himself better. He'll understand God better.
Steve.
He probably has more wisdom about what happens in the world.
There it is, Steve.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, okay, what that dot means for everything. He is going to be less emotional. So for the next thing that happens, he's going to be less emotional. He's going to make better decisions. Every time you go through this process and you come out the other side with acceptance, you're at a higher level. You're at a less emotional level. You're at a better, clearer thinking level. You're going to make better choices. When we talk about leveling up, this is what we mean. Leveling up isn't about how many pounds you can bench. 300 pounds, 400 pounds is good benches, but okay. No, we're talking about how do you handle the world around you? Okay. So and that's why I like the way this chart's drawn, because this is about when you get to the other side and you let yourself get to the other side, you become a more complete man who is not just useful to women, which is useful to getting better quality women, but you are also more useful to other men. And that makes you a better quality man for other women. But if you're stuck in bargaining or depression or anger or denial, you can't level up. You can't improve the situation. You can't. Here's another thing I want to say, kind of on the basis of Jordan Peterson's ideas, even though I think he's gone loony bin. All these men around you, trust men who've been through shit before. You want to talk to a VC? The VCs want to talk to somebody who's tried it and failed. They actually don't like talking to people who've never done it at all. They want to talk to people who've done it and failed, because you've learned something. And if you've gone through this, you've accepted it and you've learned from it and you become a better, more useful person. That is clean your room. Cleaning your room is good, but it's a step. It's how you get. And then you are more, the more of these level ups you go through, the more able you are to do more things at a larger scale in the world. I didn't come on and start talking about red pill stuff before my divorce, right? I knew it. I'd been reading it, but I didn't get up here and say, well, aha, I know everything about it because I've read this, person, and, I've read Dalrock and Pook and all these guys. So I should get up. No, I didn't say that. And my divorce was 8 years before I got into this space publicly. I took some time, got the rest of my life stabilized a bit. I worked through some stuff, learned some things, and then I went. I made sure I was ready for it.
Here's a funny thing. The church, the Christians, the Christ Pill Bros, they want to dismiss us, the divorced guys. You are failures. What do you have to say about marriage? You didn't succeed. I succeeded. Therefore, I have more to say about marriage. That's just defies
Till the day you
the
don't.
male experience, because men learn from their mistakes. I know way more about marriage now and the nature of women after going through 2 divorces than I did while I was married. Because then while I was married, I thought I was doing things right. Well, and I ignored the red flags on her side.
It's the exact same here. When I was married the first time, I thought I was doing everything right. Because I was doing everything the church said to do. I was doing
did the same.
Yeah, exactly. We all three of us thought we were doing everything right during our first marriage. And then our marriages blow up and we go, oh shit, we weren't doing anything right. My second marriage looks nothing like my first, guys. Nothing.
Just because we weren't, okay, just to be clear, when we say we weren't doing things right, it doesn't mean we were doing immoral things that justified a divorce.
Correct. I did not cheat in my first marriage.
Nope.
Not at all. Nick, you didn't either, I'm pretty sure.
No, neither did I. And I provided. I was out of a job during the first divorce, and there's a lot of baggage that a woman carries with her that she never discloses. Sometimes she just needs a scapegoat. Or, she hits menopause. And then her whole brain structure changes.
Yep.
There's all kinds of triggers. So, did I do things right to lead and be did I keep the power and enforce boundaries? So, I mean, enforcing boundaries counterintuitively, it took me a while to understand this, but enforcing boundaries makes a woman feel safe. The proper boundaries, okay, she tests the boundaries. Okay, he's strong enough to enforce boundaries. Okay, therefore, he's strong enough to, I can trust him. He'll lead me through life. If he's not strong enough to enforce boundaries, ironically, she feels unsafe with that man.
You know, Steve, this reminds me of something. How are we defining a successful marriage? I mean, you're talking about boundaries. So, what is the boundary of a successful marriage? How do we define that end state? In the mode of your marriage is so successful that you have the right to speak to other men about marriage. At what point do we cross over that line and say, yes, you now have the right to speak about that?
I don't know.
There's a couple ways in my mind that I could look at this. The first is you could say, well, a successful marriage is when you've been married till you die. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, well, then
Okay.
you keep your mouth shut your entire life, but you can speak after you're dead.
True. Well, but my, yes, and Steve, you have correctly identified the slight problem there is that, of course, you died, so you can't speak about it. The other way to think about it is when the marriage has reached the point where she can no longer leave. Now that's a pretty squishy definition because okay, she can no longer leave means basically that she's a grandma. And I'm not talking, Miami grandma. I'm talking, 70s, 80s. Because we all know boomer divorce in the 60s is a huge deal. So, I'm talking about, like where there is absolutely no chance that she's going to get somebody else if she leaves.
This is the standard definition.
Yeah.
Standard belief, right? But you're speaking about it and you're nowhere near that.
Well, I have a little bit of a different perspective, and there's a reason for that. I've been through the divorce side of it. Okay.
So now you're willing to speak the truth. And if because of that she doesn't like it, that's tough.
Well,
if you speak the truth and she leaves, well,
I've accepted it.
Too bad. I'm still going to speak the truth because I'm a powerful man. I have all the power. She's choosing to stay with me. And as long as she chooses to stay with her or stay with me, yes, I'm going to fulfill my duty. But it's not me following her on her adventure. It's the other way around.
Well, Steve, there's another thing. I do try to avoid giving men prescriptions about their marriages. And I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I will talk about what I do, but I try to avoid telling men, here's what to do that will work. Now, we've talked about it as a group, but at the end of the day, it really just comes down to the guy has to have the power. Okay, I have the power in my relationship. Our relationship's still going strong. She's in the comments here telling me that she's, and she is in practically every one of our videos, agreeing with this. So, okay.
We speak in generalities. We don't give specific advice.
Well, but here's the thing.
Frame Uber Alice.
Yes. Here's the thing, though. I talk about divorce in specific quite a bit. Last week, we were reviewing the Andrew Wilson CGA debate, and what was I focusing on? The technical errors that Wilson made.
Right.
because I went through that, and I can say, no, Andrew, here's where you're wrong. And by the way, I have the literal documents to prove it. I have them, and I keep them because you can't lose those. That's how you prove that that marriage is no longer valid. I had to file them to import Elena. Okay. The state and the government has them, right? Like, I know what this looks like. You can't tell me how it works because I already know. That is something I can speak to. So when men who have never been through a divorce get up on their platforms and start telling us everything that they think about divorce, those of us who've been through it just kind of point, laugh, and go, "You fool." Next.
He was telling us what will work. It won't work. We know it won't work.
Right.
So don't feed us a pie in the sky idea when you've not even tested it. It was conjecture and projection of this idea that will work. It won't work.
Right.
Not the way he was saying it. It was a good concept. It could work, but not right now.
Yes, it would require so many other things to change. And I'm sure he would even agree with most of the things. But when he tried to say, he was talking about ecclesiastical marriage, and we talked about this, and I talked about this with Donovan a little bit yesterday. The church has already decided what ecclesiastical marriage is. It's a state subordinated marriage where the church supports the women so long as the women make the right accusations of abuse and cheating, right? The woman says those words, and Nick, you know this. If a woman says the magic words, what does the church do?
Give them money.
Yeah,
and support them.
Yes. So that is like actually, Andrew, we have tried your solution. The church has implemented your solution. This is what we got.
So, I wonder why the guys are kind of walking away from the church.
Because let me say it this way. If you're in a normal or a Protestant church, abuse or sexual impropriety against the woman is sufficient for them to be on your side. In my experience, if you're in the Catholic, and I'm guessing in the Orthodox Church, that's not quite sufficient to get everybody on your side. So you got to make it about the children. Child abuse, sexual impropriety with children. That is the ultimate silver bullet. And a man, there is no way a man can prove himself innocent of any accusation. That's why in our government, in our Constitution, in our legal system, the preponderance of evidence or the onus is on proving guilt, not proving innocence. It's not that way in family court, but Andrew doesn't know that.
Because he's never been through it. If you've been through it, you know. And here's the thing. This is where things get tricky, because if we were to go and talk to him, he'd say, yes, all that's true. But just do this. No. Andrew, it doesn't matter what you do. Okay. There is this idea out there that as long as I know something conceptually, I can speak on it because I understand it. Not really. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Who is the other person I would trust to speak on this? James Sexton, divorce lawyer extraordinaire. He has watched enough of these to know what's going to happen. he also has been through divorce, because I think I think that's like a cultural requirement for
And
divorce lawyers. But
and Andrew's had debates and discussions with him. So Andrew should be knowledgeable enough, and he should have actually went and found out from James Sexton if what he's proposing is true before he proposes it.
that would have been a good way to handle it, yeah. Although, I this is me wondering, because a lot of people won't ask the question because they're afraid of the answer. And I see this particularly on the Christian side of this debate. They will not ask the question of, will this work? Because they're terrified that the answer is no. And what that means is that guys like the three of us are right. And that means that they have a problem with the church, that the church has a theological rot in it. That now they can't just cling to the church and say, but my church will save me from these women, right? No, the
Why
church.
haven't they been doing it for 50 plus years?
Well, that's a great question, Nick. Why haven't they? I maintain it's because they've already decided which ecclesiastical path they're going to take. Egalitarianism or complementarianism, where the woman is the actual source of power in the relationship, and the church exists to support that. That is an ecclesiastical marriage if you ask most pastors of any sect or denomination today.
Let me address an objection that I think people are going to have. Oh, but if I believe what you guys are talking about and have this unconventional relationship, then I won't be married within the church and I can't be part of the church community. And then, but that's what God wants. Let me tell you, folks, there are examples in history about what happened with groups of people. Most recent is probably China. Under communism, Christianity was greatly suppressed. People had to be private Christians and practice their faith in hiding. How did the Christians survive in Russia, in the Soviet Union under communism? They had to do things. Okay, maybe you can't have a state-sponsored marriage. Or in China, if there's no legitimate churches and you're Catholic, maybe you can't go to Mass every Sunday. Did the church ever condemn those people and say, oh, they're sinning because they didn't follow all the rules? Oh, how about back in the early days of Christianity, late Roman Empire, when Christians were persecuted? Could they abide by all the laws of the state? Or did they have to practice their moral beliefs and principles and live kind of different than what the state or the typical order of things? So I'm not saying go against God, by no means. But if you can't have a proper marriage within the church under this venue, you're going to have to do something different. That's how I have concluded things. And I think other people have come to the same conclusion. People in the acceptance stage.
You can only think clear enough to get here in the acceptance stage. Clear thinking does not happen in any of the prior 4 stages. Doesn't happen. If you're denying, you're automatically ignoring data that could help you think better. If you're angry, you're not thinking at all. If you're
Yeah.
bargaining, oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just laughing. And
Yeah.
bargaining, you're just saying, well, hmm.
Yeah.
You're not really doing much of anything. You're just trying to lessen the impact.
Yeah. Yes.
And you're circling back to denial.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Bargainers circling back to now, and in the depression phase, you're still you're sad that you can't have that, and so you're again, it's kind of this emotional cloud of like, well, I want the thing that I can't have, right? Well, okay, but you can't have it. Like, what do you want?
Right.
Okay, so you can't think straight there either. The only place you can think clearly is acceptance, and it does
Yeah.
pain me that there are so few men who have gotten there.
Well, tonight I wanted this whole concept of the 5 stages of grief kind of made sense with the factions of men in the world and the beliefs. And I don't know that anybody has really put it together as a process of stages you go through. It's just a different way of looking at it. We tend to compartmentalize people and say, oh, you're that type of person because you're in that stage, as if they're going to stay there their entire life. They don't. Most of the time, they don't. It's a progression. So, how do these different camps of ideologies relate to each other? Well, this is my attempt to make sense of them.
You know, there's a meta around this. The red pill is fundamentally truths that distill into a truth. Here's the thing about being in the acceptance stage. Every man who's in the acceptance stage clings tightly to the truth. The acceptance stage does not mean that you are walking away from the red pill and saying, "Oh, I don't want to have anything to do with that anymore, or those people
It's just a
anymore."
gas station.
Nick, you got where I was going with this.
Well,
Right.
yeah, sorry. Great minds we pick up on that train of thought.
Right. Because what that is actually, you are going out of bargaining back to denial. Because the thing is, in the acceptance phase, I can use these truths with a clear mind to create a life that I want to live. Right? I can set up controls on my woman such that my life isn't turned into a disaster by her feelings. Okay? But that required an immense amount of red pill knowledge and awareness. And yes, talking to other red pill men about how to do it. I had long since reached the acceptance stage before I started talking to the red pill community publicly. Okay? But I still would talk with them about various things. RP Thor and I had a conversation about how to partition your life and keep women from causing damage. But it was a conversation amongst men who had both accepted the way the world is about how to do some things technically to make it better. I didn't give up on the red pill. I leveraged the knowledge that I had been given to improve my life. And you know what? I can do the same thing with my relationships with other men. I have used the concepts of the red pill, particularly frame control, to recently solve a bit of a tiff that was going on in a community of men completely unrelated to the red pill. It's a work thing. Okay. You cannot let go of the truth at any point of this process. Okay. Once you reach red pill acceptance, the red pill becomes a part of your life, just like oxygen and water. But Nick, doesn't the Bible frequently relate the truth with water?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, like
Um,
I'm trying to remember the past.
baptism.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. There's
Uh,
one. Well, we also got water is there's passage about water being the what is the something of the life. Um, Water is it's like it's frequently associated with life and living, right?
okay.
Like, and water is necessary for life. So truth and
I'll give
truth,
you living waters. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, that.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I realize water's a bit of a metaphor here. I'm not, but okay, that's what I'm talking about here. The red pill is a stream of truth that benefits your life for if you accept it, if you reach acceptance, it has benefits to your life for the rest of your life in ways that you can't even imagine. John 4:10. Thank you, Andrew.
In a nutshell, in my mind, the red pill is about understanding the true nature of women and the true nature of men. That's it. That is it. And the behaviors and everything flows from there. Most Christians wrongly believe that red pill is the opposite of Christian. They're opposed. They are not opposed. If they think they're opposed, what they're really saying is they don't really want to accept the real nature of men and the real nature of women.
Trying to tell you the shit sandwich ain't a shit sandwich.
I know all about the bad inclinations of men too. But the nasty things men do, the ways men sin, I understand all that because I'm a man. I've been tempted, not always past those temptations, but I understand the behavior and what women do as well. So, yeah, it's not opposed to Christianity. And with this knowledge, you can practice your Christian faith even better.
Yes, although it does get a lot harder to practice it in a modern church. I'm just saying.
It does. Because
But you can relate to people because you can understand where they're at in life. You can see I occasionally I encounter, well, one of the stores I delivered to, there was a new guy there receiving. I had a couple brief conversations with him. He's obviously gone through some difficult times. And, decent guy. Well, he's not there anymore. So I asked, well, is he still working here? No, he's in prison. That's all I know. I asked, well, did his past catch up with him or is it something new? Didn't know. I don't know the answer to that. So obviously, okay, he's just a man. Probably made some mistakes. I had good conversations with him. He seemed to be getting his life on track. Well, now he's got a setback for whatever reason. You encounter people like that. You just talk to them where they're at. You're not better than them. Just identify with them. That's a Christian thing to do. That's what Jesus did. He identified with people where they're at and encouraged them to move beyond. offer assistance, offer a bit of advice, but no real criticism. Sometimes I guess it's warranted. But you can be Christian there. In church, in many churches, oftentimes it's all about the mask you wear, the facade, pretending that everything is fine and it's going through the motions.
How you doing? I shake the hands. How are you doing this morning? Oh, just fine. How are you doing, Miss Ann, this morning? Oh, just fine.
Yeah, I remember that growing up, Nick. Oh man.
Oh yeah. What they
That
don't,
was-
what they don't
Doodly.
like to hear. What they didn't like to hear is when I visit a church or I was a member of church, and I didn't answer that way. I told them the truth. I said, you know what? This week sucked.
No, Nick, you were supposed to tell them that everything was fine.
Just nod and get along. Everything. Don't look over here. Don't look behind the curtain. Just fine.
And this is how the church fades away from being a place for actual healing. Nope, everything's just fine. Nope, everything's just fine. Oh, you talked about something not being fine. Oh, I can't talk to you. You're a leper.
See, you can be a good American and criticize what our government does. We all kind of know that. You can be a good Christian and criticize what's going on in the church. But somehow, the church people don't like that.
No, they like their facade of everything being peaceful and tranquil, that Jesus just magically makes everything better. And that if you're suffering, it must be because something you've done wrong. Well, except if you're a woman, some man must have done something to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know that we have much more to say, unless you guys have something more to say.
No.
No.
But the red pill is not a gas station because the truth is not transient. I will say that. Nick, do you have anything else you want to say? You've been quiet tonight.
Oh. People of the Word of God are to be people of the truth. The truth is not always comfortable. The truth can be downright ugly, and it can hurt. But the truth leads to life and life eternal because God is truth. God is eternal. As Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
But Jesus never offered you or promised you an easy life, did he, Nick?
Nope. Much
but the
suffering.
church does.
10 steps to a better you. I swear, even NAPARC, the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, PCA, they're all against the prosperity gospel, but dang, they sure have it in droves in protecting women and throwing men under the bus. Hey, just follow our 12-step program of your best marriage ever. And it's always the man's fault when it falls apart.
Nick,
Oh, he
that's
just
because
must be.
no, that's because their prosperity gospel isn't a prosperity gospel for all. It's just a prosperity gospel for women. See, so it's not an actual prosperity gospel.
So, for any Christians, well, especially anti-red pill Christians that happen to watch this stream, let me tell you something. There will be Christian men among your ranks that will be joining the red pill because of their experiences. There's probably not many red pill men who are going to be joining your anti-red pill side. Maybe one or two, but generally, once men understand the truth, they don't go back.
All right, gentlemen, are we done for the? Are we done early?
Yeah.
2 hours 15 minutes. Yeah, I guess so.
Wow. Okay, so Andrew, I know you said it's only 11 Eastern. Well, Andrew, you can go enjoy your family a little earlier. You can go catch a little earlier sleep, and feel even a little better rested tomorrow. And yeah, let's go get at it again, guys. Hey, if I am sure there will be people who disagree with us about some of the things we said here. Hey, leave comments. Maybe we'll even, hey, and if you want to come up and talk about it or your disagreements, we're happy to bring you on. But if you liked it, obviously you can drop a like. It doesn't really do much for the algorithm anymore. And, but really, this message is for the men. So share this with men who need to hear it. Because I can assure you that every man is somewhere on this scale or on this path, however you want to think about it. And maybe we can offer them hope in reaching acceptance. And I think that's actually a very healthy thing for men. I think it'd be good for men's, I hate this phrase, mental health and the future of men in general, for more to reach acceptance. So please share this video far and wide.
Much easier for men when they're going through something to realize that they are on a path, and this too will change, because everything you're experiencing seems like a permanent state when you're experiencing.
Yes.
So hope. This stream should give men hope that, oh, okay, there's a stage ahead of me. I don't understand it. I'm not there. I think this is all bullshit, but maybe it'll happen. That's hope.
Yeah. So please share this if you know a man who needs a little bit of hope, because I can guarantee you there's some man who's getting taken to the cleaners right now, even in your church. So with that, I have no idea what's on Saturday. And I don't think it's been decided yet. And next week, Steve put an article in front of me a couple weeks back, and he asked if I could do a stream on it because it's about immigration. Enoch Powell and his, we're going to go over Enoch Powell and his Rivers of Blood speech that he gave before the
From
UK.
1968. We're going to see if it came true.
Well, yeah, okay. Spoiler alert, it all came true. But we didn't really mention it, talk about it this week, but there has been some interesting developments in the last 48 hours on that particular front. So this will be timely. So we will be talking about that next week. And yeah, we will see you all then. Later.
Later.
There was a firefight! Resurgence!